Hi, this is Matt. I'm going to be walking you through one of my Airbnb listings, and I'm doing this because it's going to help provide some details around the listings that will help answer questions when they come up. Things like house rules, supplies on site, fees, all of those things we'll be covering today. So, this is Pine Brook. This is actually my first ever Airbnb. Started as a one bedroom, and then right now it's a full house. So it's a single family home in the colony. You can see, you got some photos here. It's a four bedroom, two bath. Something I'm gonna call out right away is you can see it's limited to 10 guests. So the master has two queens in it. I'll get to the bed section. These are actually sofa beds. Initially, I was doing sofa beds. A lot of my listings still have sofa beds. I don't actually call them out. I don't include them as beds in the listing, and that's because I really limit the number of guests now in the single family homes, and I do that so there are less problems. There are fewer people allowed on site. The way to think about this number of guests here is this is the occupancy limit. And I communicate that to the guests by saying only 10 guests are allowed on site at any time due to city occupancy regulation. So no more than 10 can be inside at any one time. Um, and those 10 can sleep, eat, use all the amenities they want. The guest count must match the maximum number of guests. So I say that's because sometimes you'll get people who, hey, we have 4 people staying, and we have 6 people who are going to be visiting. So that guest count should be 10. So it's on us to ask them, can you please confirm the total number of guests, including those not spending the night? They have 4 staying, 6 visiting. That means 10 guests. So their reservation should say 10 guests. And if they have 4 staying and 8 visiting, I decline them. So I'm going to be doing all the approving and declining, accepting and declining. But I want you to know that if they have more people than the occupancy limit, and that's the total, so like staying plus visiting, if that number is higher than the occupancy limit, they're not allowed to book. It's just not a fit. They'll have to go stay somewhere else. I do that because that just means fewer noise complaints. I've really knocked out the whole party issue. It's extremely rare. I can't remember the last time I actually had a party, unauthorized party. It's also pretty rare for me to get a noise complaint. I'll get into that later, but the number of guests, that's an important thing to call out. And I bring that up because I had been providing bedding for these sofa beds. I don't even include them as a bed in the listing. So if they find out that these can be, pulled out, they can use them. I don't provide bedding for them. I don't provide pillows. But I want you to know that about the guest count. So something else to point out here is the TVs. So I use all Roku TVs. These are smart TVs. They're all 4K, and they're internet connected. So they're connected to Matthew's Wi-Fi. They have YouTube TV and Netflix logged in. So these are apps that are pre-installed on the TV. I pre-install these. I put a pin on the TVs so guests cannot modify the TVs. They cannot install apps on the TVs. They can't download movies. They can't watch Disney Plus. The answer is always no. We don't allow guests to modify the TVs. We do provide Netflix and YouTube TV for guests. Something that can happen is they can get logged out of YouTube TV. That's actually really easy for me to log them back in. I have a workflow. I have a canned response for that. It's YouTube TV logged out. They'll send me a code. I'll log in using that code. Boom, they'll get logged in right then and there. It's really easy. It's great. If they get logged out over Netflix, it's more difficult because Netflix doesn't have a remote login feature. So um, they um, they can use their own Netflix account, or they'll have to use one of the other TVs. There are many TVs. Actually, in this house, there's a TV in every single bedroom wall mounted, plus the living rooms. There are 5 total TVs. There are lots of TVs. Also, you see there's a Super Nintendo. I have this in every listing. It comes with all these games loaded. It doesn't break down easily. There are no discs. It's very simple, uncomplicated. Got some of my uh, Airbnbs have a game room. I don't have a separate air conditioning unit for the game rooms. Um, some of them have vents, some of them do not. Uh, they can open the door. There are big ceiling fans in each one of them, and they can open the door to let cool air into the garage, but no, there's not an air conditioning unit in them. This one is actually an HOA. I've never had a problem with HOA, but that's partly because I limit the number of guests. I'm real particular about guest count and parties. Just gonna click through these photos briefly. I used to provide, I do provide some things. I don't right now. I'm not providing wine, but I do provide. You can see right here. There's a laminate. So that laminate has the essential instructions for the Airbnb. Has the Wi-Fi. It has the parking instructions, how the remote works, and that helps a lot. On the back are the house rules, so that help. These are always face up, but on the back there are house rules. They can see the house rules there as well. Every game room is different. Got the Nintendo here, community pool. So the kitchen comes stocked with all these plates, bowls, and glasses, a lot of utensils. Um, right now, there's no process in place to double check how many of these and which varieties there are, or the pots and pans and so forth. I think that would be a good enhancement to do because I think things do go missing over time. Um, But in general, they are, very well stocked. Got the poker table here, foosball, grill. So I have a canned response for grill. It's custom to each property. Housekeeping has to clean the grill every time. Let's see. Yeah, kitchen. So I do provide Keurig K-cups. Those are stocked by housekeeping. Got some beer glasses here, private beer glasses. See, we've got the bathroom here. Housekeeping does their best to provide a bath towel for every guest in the reservation. So if 4 staying and 6 are visiting, the reservation says 10. Housekeeping is supposed to put out 10 towels, 10 bath towels. Right now, there's a washcloth and hand towel in every bathroom, at least one. I'm probably going to be changing that by the time you watch this video. Yeah. The only other thing is the hair dryers. Housekeeping is supposed to keep those out. They aren't supposed to be in one of the cabinets. They should be out so the guests can see them and know that they're there. Ironing boards. Yeah, I get the bedroom here. Blah blah blah. I do try to provide a lot of medicines and various bathroom items for guests. Washer and dryer. Oh, I want to call out one thing. On site, I now have signs. These are like um, printed signs that say, "Please use the washer and dryer with gently." If a repair is required and the repairman deems it's from user maluse, we'll have to, unfortunately, we'd have to send that bill to the guest. And so those signs, I've, various signs like that about not logging out of apps on the TVs or don't lock the garage door. Those things are in place to help these little problems that pop up, um, help inform the guests how things work. I do use Ring doorbells, so those are here. And I use a smart front door lock. So this is internet connected. So this lock allows me to create codes from my phone, from anywhere. It does use a controller, which is like it's inside. It's under a little table inside nearby, and that is what um, communicates with this lock to make the codes. It also tells me when a guest is checked in. Um, it it tells me when they've locked the door. It doesn't tell me every time they've unlocked or locked the door. It does have a history, and I do have different codes for different groups. So there's a guest code, there's a housekeeping code, there's a maintenance code, and all of that is managed in the Lock app, but also a spreadsheet that I have. And I can create a new code kind of on the fly. The other thing I want to call out is the batteries in these locks. So I do use those good Duracell batteries. These locks do eat batteries, and I've set up alerts. This lock, anytime the battery percentage is under 50%, I'm supposed to get an alert to my phone that says, hey, the battery is under 50%. And then I tell housekeeping, hey, please replace the batteries in the front door lock. They know how to do that. It's really simple. And batteries, these AA batteries are in the supply closet. Supply closet has a lot of supplies. So they replace these batteries. The one thing that can come up is if for some reason I didn't get an alert and for whatever reason, either the batteries are out or just something's not working. These locks are really consistent. They're very consistent. But sometimes things happen. And I have a lockbox, a physical lockbox at every property that contains a physical key. So it's actually over here inside the gate. And there's a canned response for that that tells them the location and the code to get inside the lockbox. And the physical key is in there, so they can use that key to still get into the front door. They will not be locked out. And that prevents having to go over there and, get in somehow. The garage doors do have codes. Those are contained in a spreadsheet, but I don't give them out to the guests. The reason I did this is that way they're always going through the front door. Why? Because I have this history, the lock history. I also have the doorbell. So I can see who's coming in and out. I don't have a blind entrance. They have to go through the front door. The lock doesn't work. They use the lockbox. They still use the front door. So something to point out. And I do have nearby locations. I send them nearby locations to do stuff in their message a day before check-in. So those are all the photos. That gives you some color on the listings. I do self-check-in. So first of all, entire home. All my Airbnbs, it's the whole house. There's no one else there. No one's staying there. I don't live there. No one else is going to be there. Self-check-in, the code is sent to the guests at 4 p.m. I don't do early check-in. The code is sent at 4 p.m., and that allows the guests to check in. They check themselves in. I've already sent them all the details that they need, parking, Wi-Fi, all that stuff, at booking and the day before check-in. So they've already got all that stuff, and the laminates help them get settled in as well. You can see, pricing. This one has a 4.82 average, which is pretty good. It's not outstanding, but it's pretty good. Got a lot of reviews. I have a 2-day minimum, so I don't do one night stays. I do not do one night stays. They book for 2 nights. They can stay for one if they want. Why do I do 2 night stays? Because whoever's throwing a party, they only want to stay one night, right? They don't even want to pay for 2 nights. To them, they just won't book for 2 nights. Um, the listings come with 6 guests, complimentary. If they have more than 6 guests, there's $10 per night per guest fee. And there's a canned response about that, how that works. There are actually several. Cleaning fee, that pays for the professional cleaning service. You can see the Airbnb fees here. This is true. Like a lot of my Airbnbs have great occupancy, which I'm very happy with. And I'm gonna open this details. So I think the listings could have more details than they have. So in this description, you can see like high level view. I mean, the photos, there are lots of photos. It covers the whole house. There's this written description here. If they ask you for a tour, I don't give tours. I don't give tours before you come, before you book. And the answer, there's a canned response for that. And the answer is there a specific question you have that I can answer? Please see the photos. The listing is as pictured. Right now I'm using this space section for more details. So yeah, just kind of amenities and things. I added this cleaning section because I want them to understand I don't clean the house. A third-party company, professional housekeeping, does clean the house, and the cleaning fee pays for them to clean the house. And also, they're responsible for cleanliness on site. I just do that because I want them to know, hey, I've done my job. Like, I don't clean the house. Housekeeping cleans the house. I don't want them to be coming at me thinking that either, like, if they're unhappy with the cleanliness, that they're thinking that I cleaned it or wondering who cleaned it. And if they ask, hey, how do you clean the house? There's a canned response for that, and it has the entire list of services done by the cleaning company. I also include this thing because sometimes I get complaints about essentials, like we want more toilet paper, or we want more this or that, or we want more towels. And I say this because I want them to know it's their responsibility to put the right number of guests. So if they book for 6 and they actually have 10, they're not going to have 10 towels. We don't know they have 10 people coming. And I also don't want to be on the hook for you can see this part here. We don't claim to provide essentials on our listing, but we do our best to provide all these things, which we do, but I don't want them to, I don't want to say on the listing that all of these things, there's a unlimited amount of toilet paper and this and that when there's, so we're not promising that. You can see here, the pool is not open. It's not currently open. This is an HOA pool, so I've included something particular to this listing in here. A couple blurbs about the garage game room. This one does have a vent. It's from the main air conditioning system. I do have a Nest door, a Ring doorbell and the noise aware device. The Ring doorbell, I do get recordings from there. I'll check them manually when I feel it's necessary. I'll also check it after a guest checks out, potentially. I don't check it every time, but just to see if I thought there was some shenanigans going on or they had a lot more guests than they should have, things like that. It also helps me identify parking issues, potentially. The noise sensor is a noise-aware device. It's in the house. It's a small rectangular device, and uh, the threshold for that is a um, fire truck from 50 feet away. And so if they reach that threshold, they get a written warning. If they reach it again, they get a second written warning. And if they reach it again, they get a $500 fee. So I'll go over the house rules, but that noise sensor is included. It's specified that it's in the listing and it's included explicitly in the house rules. So that's there. This is the first floor. There's no stairs. So I've included Oh, and then there's this blurb about the thermostats. They're set to a range. It's recommended by the air conditioning service provider. They might ask for the PIN. We don't give out the PIN. If they have asthma, we'll unlock the thermostat for them. But typically, though, it's just set to a range. And it stays, the range, stays with, the range stays. It does not change. I've included the occupancy limit here. Occupancy for this listing is 10. And I just say we can't host more than 10 at any one time. So it's important to ask the guests. You might not need to every time, but it's important to ask them if the situation looks right to confirm the guest counts. This is like, if it's for 8 guests and they say we're gonna have people visiting and stuff like that, definitely ask them. If it's a birthday, if they mention birthday, they get declined. If they mention party, they get declined. The other one to look for is if they book for one guest, ask them their guest count, because it's extremely unusual for it to just be for one person to be booking this entire house. Here are the sleeping arrangements. You can see I have not included the sofa beds in here. That's just to limit the number of guests. Amenities are here. I'm going to show you the actual amenities: Wi-Fi, cable TV. All this stuff is included. Single story home, bed and bath, blah blah blah. Not included essentials. So, do we provide essentials? Yes. I mean, we provide. Housekeeping does their best to supply a bath towel for every guest. Washcloths, hand towels, paper towels, toilet paper, but we don't guarantee it. So we'll get guests, they'll ask, I want more hand towels. Well, you're given, we do our best to provide what's given. I want three bath towels for every guest, even though I'm only staying 2 nights. Well, we can't, we provide what we can. We don't say that we include essentials, so that's not included on the listing. Other things here, you can see the availability. Reviews. So these are the reviews, averaging 4.82. Got 172 reviews. So this listing has been around. It's been up and running for 3 years. You can see cleanliness has the lowest score. I'm working on increasing that average, improving that. Communication averages 5 stars, which is really great. Check-in 5 stars. These are really great, and I believe that's because of all the automation in place. You can see guests think it's an accurate listing. The location is very good. The value is good. These are all reviews from guests. On here, so they'll ask, how far are you from AT&T Stadium? Well, it's on here. How far are you from Dallas Convention Center? Well, I include this so that, they can search on Google Maps. They can type in Pinebrook Drive, the Colony, and they can actually use that. Hopefully they do use that. it's definitely, I'd love if they could help themselves by, looking at generally where this is and, uh, calculating the, just using Google Maps. Google Maps will tell you. Blah, blah, blah. Response time within an hour. Always try to get back to the guest as soon as possible. So co-host. So this is the current cleaning company, Mint Housekeeping. They have access to all the guest messages. I do that because I want them to see if there are cleanliness concerns, if there are things missed, or problems that come up. I want them to be aware, of what's going on day to day. Other things. So here we go. This is important. So house rules. Check-in's always 4 p.m. I don't do early check-in. Why? I've never, ever, ever gotten a review that said he let us check in early. I've never, ever gotten that. And it's actually quite inconvenient to coordinate, well, then you gotta ask housekeeping, when can you finish? They can't guarantee a time. And then you tell the guest, well, we'll try to get you in before 4. So they actually show up early. They show up at 2. They start messaging you. They message you at 2:30. Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? It's just a big waste of time. I have a pre-written message for that. Early check-in. The answer is no. Sorry. They can check in as late as 2 a.m. Checkout's always 11 a.m. So this is important because housekeeping gets these appointments, right? They make their own schedule. They need to know that the house is empty at 11 a.m. And so if a guest checks out late, if housekeeping arrives and they're still there, they get charged a $50 fee. And the reason for that is housekeeping actually charges me while they wait, which is justified. They shouldn't have to wait. That's their time. They're paying their cleaners to, stand there, sit in their car until they're able to clean. Self check-ins, they are smart. They are, Wi-Fi connect. They're codes. Codes to the front door. You got a keypad, so you just enter in the code. No smoking, no pets, no parties or events. So there is a security camera. We cover that with the Ring doorbell and the noise alert. I have a security deposit. Cancellation policy is strict. It's always strict. It's not going to change. House rules. So these are, what the capabilities that they give me, but I also have my own written house rules. So I send this at confirmation and the day before they arrive, and it's on the listing and it's in their reservation. By booking, you agree that you have read and agree to comply with these rules, and failure could result in being asked to leave the property without refund. So no parties. The zero tolerance policy for parties. There's a $1,000 fee if the police visit our home. There's an occupancy limit for every listing. Guest count. Only guests in the reservation are allowed on site. The reason, now you might say, oh, well, can't people visit? Yes, they can. They can visit. We love visitors. But this rule is in place because if this is not in place, what has happened is that I've had people book for 3 guests, and I'm not kidding you, 30 people, maybe more, come on site during their stay. They're not sleeping there, but they're visiting, and it's crazy. Can't do that. So occupancy limit is 10, and those visitors, people can come. People can use our amenities. They can do whatever. They can sleep. They can lay down. They can take a shower. Whatever they want. Guest count is guest count. That's the maximum number of guests on site, including those visiting. No smoking. So there's a $1,000 fee for smoking inside our home. The reason is I actually used to have it $400. They keep smoking inside my listings, and it's not that I care. The next guest hates it if it smells like smoke. So this prevents them, this really discourages them from smoking. They can smoke outside, but we do ask they dispose of any trash before checking out. There's a noise sensor. I already covered that. The noise score is 50. If sustained noise exceeds a fire truck from 50 feet away, we send a written warning. A $500 fee on the third time sustained noise exceeds a fire truck from 50 feet away. Quiet hours after 10 p.m., they don't stay outside or in front. They don't loiter. Music kept to a quiet volume. No pets, $1,000 fee for unauthorized pet. And then that blurb about late checkout. I've included this little description. We've tried to provide a great experience for guests. This is all because unauthorized party, smoke, or pet requires an exhaustive process on short notice to ensure a great experience for the next guest. Doing these things really interrupts the next day, and it costs a lot of time to try to resolve them. So that's why the fees are steep, and that's why I don't have any problems. I have very few problems with trouble guests. So that's that. And that's my listings. So I have 6 listings today. They're all the listings are very similar. They have differences as far as like this one has a community pool, other ones have their own pool, other ones don't have a pool at all. This one has a game room in the garage, other ones have a game room in the house. But as far as like the feature set, they're pretty similar as far as, like all the TVs are the same, all the front door locks are the same, all the noise aware are the same, all of them have the same thermostat. All of them have the same policy around towels. All of them have the same, self check-in, and so that makes responding to queries and managing them a little bit more manageable, a little bit more straightforward. So that is pretty much what I wanted to cover with this listing. The reason, the purpose for this video was really sharing some intricacies around my Airbnbs, how they work, and, what things are on site. And that way you can know, how to respond to guests, what things pop up now and then. Also, I'd love if you could, read this listing, read these descriptions, and give me pointers on, hey, you could add this thing or that thing. This should be, the whole idea of this listing is for it to be self-service. I try to give a lot of information, and there are so many photos so that they can really serve themselves. They can get all the information they need so they can make an informed decision. Same thing with here. I want them to know, the master bathroom's en suite, the other bathroom is located in house lot, but they're not, blah, blah, blah. This should all be self-service. So if you have ideas for how to make it even more self-serving, let me know. I would love that. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon.